guys, what is up? My name is Jeracraft and I have an exciting video for you guys today and a very interesting story to tell. I actually got an email from a fellow subscriber, one of you guys, and I was just so angry and frustrated to find out that this subscriber, which we're going to call Mr. T, basically got scammed a whopping $250 after he commissioned a team of builders on Fiverr to build him a Minecraft world. Now the thing is, his request was relatively simple. All he wanted was an island with a volcano, together with a village, and most importantly, a mighty fortress. Long story short, this is what he got in return. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I would definitely not want to have to pay $250 for a boat shaped like a cardboard box. Normally, I would never criticize or judge someone else's Minecraft build so harshly, but let's not forget that this island would technically cost you $250, which is just a crazy amount of money for such a simple project. But guys, it does get worse. Even the best part of this build, being the fortress, which I actually thought was pretty good, was clearly, and I mean entirely, copied and pasted into this world. I mean, they didn't even bother to fix the obvious giveaway, which is just outrageous. It's like buying a brand new Lamborghini and finding out that the engine is made out of raw potatoes. I mean, seriously guys, we don't even know if this castle was actually stolen from someone else's Minecraft build. But either way, I've decided to do the right thing and transform this build for absolutely free, to hopefully serve some justice, and at least Mr. T doesn't have to feel too bad about spending those $250. So guys, without further ado, let's begin today's adventure. Now guys, I'm not going to get into too much more detail when it comes to this build, as we already know it has a ton of issues, and I've only just noticed that this island is actually floating. Yes, you can see right through the landscape if I do remove the water, which is crazy enough. Not to mention, if I were to click on one of these blocks, the entire island starts to collapse, which is just an absolute nightmare death trap for anyone running a low-end PC. So I've decided that this map doesn't really deserve a transformation. Instead, I'm going to recreate my own version of this project, just on a much larger, more epic scale. Starting off with a brand new world painter map. Of course, after many hours of hard work, I progressively went from just a simple grass block island to eventually adding stone, ores and other materials, followed by some trees. But most importantly, some epic looking rock formations. Honestly, this just blew my mind. I mean, World Painter is just such a good program, and with all the practice I've had, this has turned out to be one of the better landscapes we've built. I instantly contacted Mr. T just to let him know how things were going, and he was just ecstatic, which really motivated me to build him something extra special. Now guys, there is just one last thing we have to do before we get to building, and that is the painstaking process of having to fly around the entire island collecting maps, because we definitely need some sort of plan of action. This island is just ginormous, featuring a massive volcano, rocky landscapes, and somehow still has plenty of empty space to build on. So this cave entrance is going to act as our main planning room, because at this point, having a gigantic map of your Minecraft project is just a must-have. Besides, it's a great way of keeping track of all the progress we've made. Now guys, I really want to try my best to fulfill everything Mr. T wanted in his Minecraft build, and even try and take things a step further. My plan for now is to build him a shipyard right at the entrance of the valley. Then we're going to divide a path into two separate roads, one leading down to the main village and the other leading up the mountain past a massive bridge and eventually leading to the castle entrance. Hopefully we might even be able to add some lava flowing down into the valley floor. And so we finally begin this epic journey with the creation of a mighty entrance into the valley, featuring some massive double doors and setting up the border for the outer city docks. So if you're wondering why I have not posted a video in over a month, this project is precisely why. I decided to take this build to extreme levels, just because I had this idea where I constantly thought to myself, what if someone was paying me $250 for this Minecraft world? What would I build for that kind of money, but it turns out that I was never happy with anything I built because I felt like $250 was just way too much money for any Minecraft build. But either way, we are off to a good start, setting up a small but fancy looking fishing village. What we're going to do now is branch outwards towards the ocean so that we can start setting up all the different docking areas, while of course building and decorating the shipyard. We also have just a bit of space on this platform, which I thought would be a good place to build ourselves a lighthouse. Of course, the only thing that's missing are the actual ships. But you guys know I hate building boats, and I just don't feel like I'm any good at building them. But then again, it can't be worse than this.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Ugh.
So anyway, after several different attempts, I must admit, I eventually managed to find a shape that worked and decorated the boat as best as I could. Now there's also this really dense forest on the right side of the village, and I just love how you lose sight of everything as soon as you walk in. So I won't be getting rid of the entire forest, but I thought it would be a really cool idea if we built a river flowing down from the mountain. And with a small bridge cutting across, we can make it seem like some of the villagers are cutting down trees to provide wood for the city. Adding tree stumps and dirt blocks on the ground just makes this seem a lot more realistic. And of course, you can always still wander into the forest if you do feel like exploring. Now at this stage, the outer city is complete, and I think it's about time we take a little sneak peek at the actual map. So this is how we started off the project, and this is all the progress we've made. So it's looking pretty good. All we have to do now is continue up the valley. I just need to make sure not to make this city feel too repetitive, so besides adding the usual buildings, we're also going to build a small church just to change things up a bit. And halfway up the mountain, there's also a good spot to build the entrance into the mines, to really make this build feel like a functional city. In fact, when I first created this world, I made sure to add in all the different kinds of resources. So Mr. T, if you ever feel like going mining, this is a good place to start. Now guys, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't know what I was thinking when I thought about transforming this entire valley into a city. I've already spent 3 weeks building, so I need to make my life easier before I burn myself out. So I thought the best option was to transform this entire landscape into massive fields of wheat, potatoes, carrots, and even some small vineyards. In other words, a lot of farmland. Of course, this won't be complete without a couple of windmills, but I've never done anything like this before, and it kind of reminds me of Pandaria in World of Warcraft. All we're missing is a bunch of pandas, but I definitely love all these spiraling paths cutting through the fields, and it just feels like a nice, peaceful place to explore. So with that done, we can definitely go back to building the mountain path. Now this road will eventually lead to the castle, so I thought it would make sense to build one final scout tower just to watch over the road. Now the only problem is, this road leads to absolutely nowhere, or at least the gap between the mountain and the volcano is just a lot bigger than I thought. So in order to build this bridge, we're going to need one extra pillar right down the center of the valley. I think this makes a lot more sense, and the view from the top of this bridge is just absolutely insane, so I'm quite happy with this final result. But guys, the main point is that we have almost completely covered all the empty spaces, apart from this one last plot of land. So being as crazy as I am, I decided to still go ahead with building the final city. I first surrounded the platform with one last line of defense, just a simple wall and a couple of towers to at least separate the farmland from the main city. I then quickly jumped onto a super flat world just so that I could design some new houses for the main city. The only difference is these buildings are slightly bigger, and I just generally put in much more effort into these designs, just by giving them a couple of extra features as well as some interesting shapes. But honestly guys, at this point I was just eager to get into building this mighty fortress. It's actually been years since I built one, so I was just determined to make this the biggest castle I've ever built, because I feel like that's what Mr. T deserves. So after finally decorating and even expanding on the entire main city, I started designing just a few basic shapes that we were going to use to get this castle going. But the castle itself took me over 40 hours to build and decorate. I cannot even imagine having to build this in survival mode. To put things into perspective, this castle contains almost 400,000 blocks, but a single Minecraft chunk only contains an average of around 17,000 solid blocks, which means if you want to build this castle in survival mode, you would have to mine an equivalent of 24 full Minecraft chunks, which is just crazy. Now, I have not played survival in a while, but I'm pretty sure that would be a monumental task. But either way guys, after finally finishing those last details and building some extra flags, we were off to Mr. T's last and final request, a volcanic eruption. Can you imagine, after all this hard work, somehow, some way, my entire build manages to catch fire? That would be a very painful thing to watch, but I did keep things under control and built this really cool burnt up valley with streams of lava flowing past this massive bridge. Honestly, there's not much more left to say. This has been one insanely long journey, but I hope that Mr. T as well as you guys enjoy this brand new epic Minecraft world. Now guys, please don't go spending $1,000 on Fiverr, because for all you know, you might just get yourself a beautiful dirt house. Thank you guys for watching, please consider subscribing, and I will catch you in the next one.